Hello, I'm Greg, and welcome to my channel, Midnight Oil Software. In this video, which is the second video about my 2D Angry Birds clone Ninja Eggs, in which I use hand-drawn art, I'm going to be talking about how to animate sprites. You may remember in my game that the main character, the Ninja Egg, is animated. You can see that his eyes move left and right, up and down, and his wings are flapping. And you can see here his mouth is closed, but when I grab him, his mouth switches to half open. And when I launch him, it switches to full open. And then his wings disappear after he collides. So in this video, I'm going to talk about how to animate the sprite so that his wings can flap and his eyes can move and you can change his mouth. And we're going to do that by using Gimp. So you'll notice here in Gimp, which is, by the way, Gimp is a free graphic editing tool, very similar to Photoshop. It has a lot of the same functionality that Photoshop has, but you can get it for free for Windows, you can get it for Mac, you can get it for Linux. And in here I have a file open, which I call Ninja Egg with Layers. And you can see here I've got a number of layers. I have the base image, I have his eyes, and I have his mouth. And I can switch here between his mouth being open to being half open to being closed. I can switch his eyes to change their position, to make them, basically if we're going to animate them, we want them to go from looking down like this to looking up a little bit farther to looking up a little bit farther and then looking all the way up and to the right. And so one thing that Gimp will allow you to do is when you have layers selected, you can export just what is in that layer. So if I want to just export these eyes, I turn off all the other layers, and then I go up to File, Export As, and then I can pick the file I want to export it to, and it will export just that layer that I've got selected. So next I'm going to show you how to create those layers and how to edit them so you can do this. And it's really useful to use layers because you can see how everything relates to the previous layer, so you can get things positioned correctly, and then you can toggle them on and off, and you've got it all saved there in that one image. So you can go back and tweak it later if you want. So here I have a file that just has the base layer, which just has the Ninja Egg, and there's no eyeballs, and there's no mouth. So we could go over here to this file in which I have just his closed mouth, and I could say Edit, Copy, and I could go back here, and I can create a new layer, or I could actually go to Edit, and I could say Paste as New Layer. And there you can see the mouth is there, and I can use the Move tool. Oops, wrong one. I could use the Move tool to move the mouth to where I want it. And I can rename this layer Edit Layer Attributes. So I can go down to Edit Layer Attributes, and I can call this Mouth Closed. So now we have a mouth closed layer. And there we go. And let's say we want to copy the left eyeball in. I can go over here. So this is actually the right eye. So I'll edit, copy, or I could just press Control C, come back here, and I can say paste as new layer. And again, I'm going to want to move it to where I want it. So we'll move it up there, up and to the right. And then I'll right click on this, edit layer attributes, and I'll call this Eyes 1. And then I'm going to go over to this one, which is the left eye. I'll hit Control C to copy. And here I'm just going to Control V and paste it into the same layer. And I'm going to move it. And then when I deselect, you'll see that this is all in Eyes 1 now. So now I have a layer called Eyes 1. And to do Eyes 2, I'm just going to create a new layer. Call that Eyes 2. Let me just turn everything else off so I can see what's going on here, and I'll paste that. Okay. Now, there we go. I'll turn on Eyes 1 so I can see. All right, so I'm not sure what was going on there, but now I can start to give the next layer of eyes, and you'll see it'll be able to rotate around. So if I turn off eyes 1, you'll see what that would look like. I'll deselect that, so that locks that in place. Now I have eyes 1 and eyes 2. And I would just repeat that process until we have the same thing that you see over here, where I have eyes 1, eyes 2, eyes 3, and eyes 4. And then I'll go ahead and do the mouth so you can see how I did that. So over here you see we've got the mouth closed. I'll go over here to mouth half open. I'll hit Control C to copy, and I will paste into new layer. And again, we're going to want to move that. And you get it positioned how you want it. And we'll deselect, and we'll rename this layer mouth half open. And so now we can get rid of mouth closed and just have mouth half open. And I can do the same thing for the open mouth. And I'll go ahead and do that. I'll copy, come back here, paste as new layer. And in this case, I think I'm going to rotate this a little bit just so it lines up a little bit better. It won't be perfect, but I think that is good enough. And we will edit the layer attributes and call this mouth wide open. And I'll close that one. And so now we've got our 3 different mouths. And we can add all the other eyes if we wanted to, but this gives you the general idea. I want to show you one other thing. In this file here, I've got 3 layers for the wings in 3 different positions. So this is just the front wing, but here the wing is in its down position, here it's in the middle position, and there it is in the up position. So we're going to use those to animate the wings. And each of these were exported individually into their own files, just like I did all the layers in this guy. And so now I'm going to show you how we can pull these into Unity and create our animated sprites. Okay, so now that we've got our images exported, we're going to come in here to Unity. And you may remember from our sample scene that we did in the first video, we had our ground tiles that we could spread out. We had our little alien. So in this video, we're going to show how we can pull in those images we just edited for the Ninja Egg and bring them into the game and animate them. So I'm going to create a folder under Art, and I'm going to call this, so I just right-click, Create Folder. I'm going to call this Ninja Egg. And I'm going to go into that folder. And from the folder where I saved those images, I'm going to drag in all of those images that we exported. So you can see we got a little Ninja Egg here. We've got his open mouth. We've got his half open mouth. We have his closed mouth. And then we have the eyes in 4 different positions. So let's do the egg first. I'm going to create an empty game object in our hierarchy. So I'll right-click, Create Empty, and I'm going to rename this to Ninja Egg. And that's going to be the parent object for our Ninja Egg character. And I'm going to drag the Ninja Egg image onto that. And so now parented to the Ninja Egg character is our sprite. You can see it added a sprite renderer. And I want to make sure that this always appears in front of the background. So I'm going to set his order and layer to be 1. Later on, we can add more sorting layers. And I'll explain that in a subsequent video. But for now, I'm just going to set that to 1. And we're going to make him interact with the physics engine like we did in the first video. So real quick, I'm going to add a rigid body 2D. And I'm going to add a capsule collider 2D. If I expand the capsule collider and hit edit, I had already done this in an earlier practice run. And so this capsule collider knows to be expanded around the entire sprite image here. If it didn't do that, I would have to grab these points and drag it out to the end. So now if I was to hit play, our ninja egg should fall and then stop on the ground. So just like we did with our alien, he is now a physics enabled sprite. So let's start animating. We're going to animate the eyes first. So you'll notice that there are 4 eyes. If we were to drag a single eye onto the scene, and I'm going to set their order and layer to 2 just to make sure it always displays, you can see that it's just the single eye. But if I was to, I'm actually going to do all these. Well, no, I'm going to select them all. And if I drag these into the scene, it's going to create an animation. So under our assets, art, ninja egg, we're going to create a new animation and we're going to call it eyes animation. And it also created an animation controller called eyes1. And I'm going to rename that to just be eyes. All right. So if we were to open up this eyes animation that it created and select eyes and hit play, let me drag this over. You see it's hidden behind there, so we're going to make its order and layer 2. So now we've got the eyes, and you can see that they're animating inside the eyeballs. That's not exactly what we want. It's a good start, but it's not exactly what we want. So I'm going to hit stop on that. I'm going to dock this over here just to make it easier to see. So this animation currently consists of 4 keyframes, 1 for each eye. Okay, and if I was to select this one, you can see this is eyes 1, this is eyes 2, this is eyes 3, and this is eyes 4. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to hit Control A to select all those keyframes, and I get these little bars here, and I can grab these bars and I can drag them. I'm going to increase the length of this animation clip. And you'll notice it's spreading out those keyframes evenly over that time, which isn't exactly what I want. But if we come here, you see this is eyes 4. If I come here, this is eyes 3, and I'm going to deselect all the other frames. I'm going to select that, and I'm going to grab it over here. And then I'm going to take this one, and I'm going to drag it just shy of that. So now it's going to stay on keyframe 1, which is eyes 1. It's going to stay on that one for a little bit longer before it scrolls up again. So let's see what that looks like. Now that worked, except it immediately jumped back to the first keyframe. So what we're going to do now is we're going to add a new keyframe. And I want to drag this out a little bit because I don't want it to immediately start going back. And I'm going to hit the record button here, and I'm going to select this frame. It's currently eyes 1. I don't want that to be eyes 1. I want it to start going back, so I want that to be eyes 3. Okay, and then I'm going to add a keyframe. Select that one. And make that one eyes 2. And then I'm going to add one more. Actually, I think I should be good at that point because it's going to immediately go back to the first frame. And I think that's a good start. I could play around with this and increase the interval between the animations and stuff. But this is enough to show you how you would do this. We don't want to waste too much time in this video doing that. Now I'm going to take these and I'm going to parent them to the ninja egg. So now these are all under that ninja egg object. And one of the things that will allow me to do is I can actually turn that animation on and off if I want to in code. So if I hit play now, his eyes did not move with him. Why did that not move with him? Let me reset the transform. Oh, that's not what I wanted either. Maybe I need to parent it to that. There we go. All right, so I've got the eyes animating. They move with the egg, and he's standing there on the ground with his eyes animating. So that's good. Let's look at adding the mouth now. I'm going to create an empty game object. Right-click, create empty. I'm going to call it mouth. And I'm going to drag in, go to my art folder, Ninja Egg. I'm going to drag in mouth closed. And I'm going to set his order and layer to be 2. And what I want to show you is that if I was to come over to his, I'm going to rename this to just be mouth. In fact, you know what? I'm going to get rid of this empty game object. I'm going to parent him directly to the egg. I'm going to get rid of that. I'm going to rename this to be mouth. Because this is going to be the mouth whether it's closed, half open, or open. So I'm going to come in here and I'm just going to change the sprite to mouth half open or mouth open. And you can see whether he's closed, half open, or open is just determined by what sprite is selected under the sprite renderer. And I can change this in code based on the state of the sprite. So the last thing I want to do in this video is I want to animate the wings. I'm going to create a new folder under Ninja Egg here. And I'm going to call that wings, just to organize my files. And I'm going to drag in my wing images. And so you can see I got back wing down, front wing down, back wing middle, front wing middle, back wing up, front wing up. So I'm going to drag in all of the front wing images. And it's going to ask me to create an animation. And I'm going to call this front wings animation. And I'm going to set its order and layer to be 2. And I'm going to position it. Actually, I'm going to parent it to the Ninja Egg. And position it where I want it on the Ninja Egg. And if I hit play, boom, you can see our wings are flapping. The only thing I'm going to change here is I'm going to rename this to front wings. And then I can do the same thing for the back wings. I can grab back wing down, back wing middle, back wing up, drag them over here, create back wings animation, rename that to back wings, parent it to the Ninja Egg, and I don't want its sorting layer to be in front because it is behind the Ninja Egg. If I hit play, yeah, you can see the back wings are animated. Now if I hit play on the game, and there we go. We've got our Ninja Egg sprite, we've got his mouth, we've got his animated wings, we've got his animated eyes. So in a subsequent video, I'll talk about how you can edit the animation controller that was created for the sprite. And you can add different states. And I can have a state for idle, I can have a state for is dragging, I can have a state for launched, I can have a state for collided. Whatever, if I wanted to do that. In the meantime, I want to thank you very much for watching my video, and I hope you subscribe to my channel if you find these videos useful, and be sure to leave comments if there's anything in particular you'd like me to cover or if you have any questions, and please click the like button and share it with your friends on social media. Thank you.